huge thank you and shout out to Petty Officer First Class Josh Womack. Well done. Thank you. That was that was awesome. That was awesome. Just love that presentation and you know, in Memorial Day, it's not just a 3-day weekend. It's a day where we honor those that have literally given their all, shed their blood, lost their lives, families that have lost loved ones, so that you and I could enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy. So people that we have never met gave their lives for people that they never knew, and probably for freedoms that they themselves didn't even get the chance to enjoy. So, you know, we live a pretty good life. I mean, don't we live a pretty good life? I mean, think about it. I said this before, but there's no other nation on the globe where Jenny Craig could get rich. Just saying, all right? And so we live a pretty good life, and so we enjoy a lot of stuff, and lots of generations have enjoyed these kind of things. And a matter of fact, this last week we had the opportunity to take our grandson Zeke to Knott's Berry Farm. It's not a place for old people. Chasing around someone who has endless energy, but anyway, so we rode on this old steam engine train. It's over 100 years old. It's the authentic deal, and it's real steam engine. And so we're going down this track. Now the reason I wanted to ride that train is because you get to sit down and it's a long ride, and it goes slow. So as we're sitting there was a young couple behind us that were having a conversation, and I was enjoying the conversation. Because, well, they're clueless. And so I heard the young man say, you know, back in the olden days when they used to ride this train, it didn't matter how much money you had, you could not buy an iPhone anywhere. No, seriously, he actually said that. And I'm thinking, if that's your takeaway from this train ride, your teachers are horrible. And then he said, imagine how hard that was, being without an iPhone. So anyway, so growing up, you know, our pleasures when I were growing up, they were much simpler, but no less memorable. How many of you guys had a great childhood? You got some great memories. How many guys had a crappy childhood? We'll do counseling later, but anyway. But there's some good. So one of those early memories is I remember my first experience fishing. Anybody remember your first experience fishing? So my dad gave me a cane pole. Anybody ever heard of a cane pole? So what's a cane pole? It's a stick. No reel. So my dad gave me a cane pole. It's just a bamboo cane and some string, a bobber, a lead weight, and a hook. So I went in the backyard and I dug up some night crawlers. Now I'm using a gummy worm because I know you guys get grossed out. And just because I'm concerned about the people that I talk to, you can't catch anything with a gummy worm. Just so you know. But this was my experience. And so what it was, you kind of cast it out there, and your bobber floated on the top. And so I went out to the little pond, and I cast it in, and I'm just a small boy, and I waited for what seemed like weeks by this pond, and nothing, and nothing, and nothing. And I thought there was nothing in this pond until all of a sudden I landed the monster, a 3-inch bluegill. But he fought valiantly. Matter of fact, they kind of mocked me because our goldfish was almost as big. But see, I was so proud that day that I caught that fish, and since then I've gone fishing hundreds of times. I'm not an expert, because the truth is I spent a lot more time casting than I spent catching. Anybody know what it is to spend a lot of time casting and not a lot of time catching, right? So we know what that's like. So here's the deal. So those days spent casting and not catching, when somebody actually does catch a fish, Have you noticed this when you're around a pond and somebody catches a fish? Everybody hoards to that place where they caught the fish. They gather all around, and they're curious, what are you using for bait? They change to the same bait, and they try to replicate the success. How many guys know what I'm talking about, right? You ever been fishing, like you go up to Bulge Park up there, and if somebody catches a fish, everybody, they go around, and this poor little boy caught a fish, and all of a sudden he's surrounded by 25 adults, right? And anyway, and here's what I'm saying. So I've done that myself. Where you catch a fish and you go back out there same day. It's about the same time of day. You stand in the same spot. I was standing about like so. I cast it about like this. I was using this kind of bait. I was holding my mouth like this. Trying to replicate that success. Now, I think we do that in a lot of areas in life. Where something works and we try to repeat that or replicate that. So we try to do the same thing over and over again. So what we do is we try to replicate the success rather than get fresh revelation. Rather than get new information, rather than trying to learn something, we try to repeat the old victories. Now here's the deal. So sometimes it works, but most times it doesn't, right? See, fishermen have been getting skunked since the beginning of time. How many fishermen out there do we have that have gotten skunked at least once? Come on, you know, come on. Yeah, you know. Somebody says, I'll catch one every time. You liar. So it's been happening since the beginning. So now it's not so bad if you're just killing time on the banks of a pond or the banks of a creek. It's not so bad. But if fishing is life, if fishing is your living, it changes everything. Here's the story. It's in Luke chapter 5 and verse 1. And here's what it is. So Jesus had gone over by the lake of Gennesaret or the Sea of Galilee, and there's a huge crowd gathered around, so he's going to teach them. So verse 1 says it like this. And so it was, as the multitude pressed about him to hear the word of God, that he stood by the lake of Gennesaret or the Sea of Galilee and saw two boats standing by the lake. But the fishermen had gone from them and were washing their nets. Then he got into one of the boats, which was Simon's, and asked him to put out a little from the land. And he sat down and taught the multitudes from the boat. And when it stopped speaking, he said to Simon, launch out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch. But Simon answered and said, Master, we have toiled all night and caught nothing. Nevertheless, at your word, I will let down my net. Okay, so now this is not Simon Peter's first trip to the water. It's probably not even his first time getting skunked. Because there's a lot of us in this room, we know what it is to get skunked over and over and over again, right? Okay? So now I wanted to read this from the New King James Version for one particular word that I want to focus on today. And that's the word toiled. It says, we've toiled all night and caught nothing. So the word to toil means that you're worn out by it. You put your all into it. You were exhausted. You spent all of your energy doing this, and then at the end, you're just completely wiped out. Anybody know what it is to toil? You get this? So to be completely drained. Now, we toil in a lot of places. We know what it is to toil at work. Anybody ever got home from work? It's like, that's it. It's over. It's over. I mean, you're sitting there. It's like, you have to hand me the remote. I can't even get up and get it. Get this. You could use this. I've toiled all day. Right? So we know what it is to toil. We understand. So we know what it is to toil at work, to toil at finances. We know what it is to toil in a relationship. We know what it is to toil with our family, because family can be exhausting. Okay? Well, some people, not you guys. But so we know what it is to toil for our lifestyle, even to toil for our own sanity. We know what it is to toil for survival or even trying to find our place in God. And the honest truth is, we don't mind doing that. We really don't mind giving our all to get ahead a little bit. We don't mind giving our all so we can get along or get a grip. We don't mind giving our all so we can kind of get it together or get back on track. We don't mind that at all, because that's what we do. But what we do mind is when we toil all night and catch nothing. When we look back over the course of the day, look back over the course of the effort, and we look back and we don't see any results at all, that, my friend, is what sucks hope dry. Isn't that true? See, when life is fishing and the nets are empty, that's when good people like us, we find ourselves drifting further out into deeper waters. And you ever felt like life isn't working and you got yourself in pretty deep? You know what I'm talking about? And it's like, this is not getting better. I don't know what I'm going to do, right? So it's the emptiness. Like, I've tried to make it work, but it's not working. Or I've been hanging on, but I'm tired. Or I've been waiting forever and nothing is getting better. Or I've been searching, I haven't found anything. So now I could go on forever and ever and ever about all of these areas where we toiled really hard and it didn't produce results. And all we have to show is empty nets. You know that the nets are empty when you've worked really, really hard and you look back and you don't see anything differently at all. That's what it is to toil, okay? So it's a life of effort without effect. It's a work without worth. It's hardship without healing. It's burnout without breakthrough. It's like, I don't know why I keep doing this. I'm going to make a statement. This is probably the most important statement of the day. And even if you don't take notes, please write this down, okay? You can even use this on each other. I'm totally okay with that. But here's what I want you to get. So it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you're doing it blindly. Doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you're doing it blindly. And maybe that's what Jesus meant in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, when he said, "Come to me, all of you that are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." But the thing is, what does he mean, come to me? Okay, here I'm. That's not it. So what it is we need to come to the place where we're open and honest about what's going on, and ask ourselves questions about why are our nets still empty, okay? So the reason the nets are empty, this is important, the reason the nets are empty is because there's things hidden that need to be revealed, okay? The water represents the unseen. How many of us know that there's stuff that you don't know? Well, unless you're 14, then you know everything. 15, oh, you still know everything. You won't figure out that what you don't know until you know that you don't know. That you don't know. That you don't know. Anyway. See, so the water represents the unseen. Anybody ever been up to Lake Success? Mud Creek, right? You get about this far from the shore, you can't see the bottom anymore. See, so the water represents the unseen. You can't see below the surface. And the Sea of Galilee, it's not like the Caribbean, the crystal blue sea. That's not what it is. It's not that clean. So water represents the unseen. So that's why when Simon Peter's casting his net, he can't see what's beneath. He can't see the unseen. So for you and I, in the spiritual realm, the unseen is a spiritual realm. That's the place of the stuff that you don't know. That's where we need something, the holy place. And I'm not talking about mysticism. I'm talking about divine revelation. So here's this. So we have this realm of the unseen. Casting our nets, that's our act of faith. If you don't cast the net, if you don't throw the net out, you probably won't catch anything. I'm just smart that way. Right? I'm really confident no fish are going to jump in the boat. I'm pretty sure. It's like, I'm just waiting on God. You'll be waiting like a heck of a long time. Okay? I'm not doing anything until God does something. You're going to die. Right? So see, revelation without obedience is just a boat ride. So here's the thing. So the water represents the stuff that you don't see, the realm of the unseen. How many of you guys know that there's stuff you can't see? Okay? Casting our nets is the act of faith, and we toss that into the unknown. But what the real difference maker is where to throw the nets. That comes from divine revelation, direction from God. We need direction from God. And I'm going to take all the ooky spooky out of this and make this stuff really simple. You guys got glad for that? Sometimes like, okay, God, speak to me. Don't be weird. Don't be weird. You know what I'm talking about, those people? It's like, don't be like that. You give us a bad name, right? So, see, and what happens is our world comes up with wisdom born out of human understanding without divine revelation. And it's crazy stuff like the human wisdom will say, well, you can't tithe because you'll be poor. But tithing don't make you poor. Tithing makes you blessed. They say you can't forgive because that means you're weak. No, forgiveness doesn't make you weak. Forgiveness makes you free. You know what I'm talking about? And people say that I'm going to hurt some feelings. I'm going to hurt some feelings. You ready? Matter of fact, people may even walk out here in the next couple minutes. Am I scaring you? Adoption is not the solution to abortion. Prevention is. Okay? And I'm not going to do this. Well, I'll say, my body, my choice. I 100% agree. I just prefer you to do that before you're naked. So, what about, rape and incest? I agree, but I think we should really punish the criminal and not the victim. And my idea of punishment is bad. Matter of fact, my idea, I'm pretty sure it'll never happen again, right? Because, disagreeing with you, that doesn't mean I hate you. It means I don't agree with you. See, if disagreement was hate, we got some really bad marriages. I mean, think about it, right? Matter of fact, Loretta and I were having a talk one time. What? And because I was right. You're not catching the drift of this. I mean, and so I was insistently making my point. You like that, huh? You like that? Okay. And she stepped back. And she did her Loretta look, and I'm not even going to describe it to you because I don't want you to see her do it to me. And she made this statement. She goes, "Look, I can have my own opinion." And so I replied, "Yes, you can." See, but disagreement is not hate. It's just a difference of opinion. And we got to be okay with that. And hate is not the words someone says. Hate is the action someone does. Right? So we got to kind of tone it down a little bit. And here's the last one. And what some people would consider personal freedom could very well be a stumbling block for somebody else. So here's the deal. So and some people might ask, and I really hope that you do, Pastor Dave, what makes you think you're right? Ask me. Come on. No, don't do it nice. Do it. I mean, just come on. Come on. You guys are sitting there saying nothing. This section is a lump. Okay? You want to know what makes me think I'm right? I'm glad you asked. What makes me think I'm right is this: the divine revelation from God. That's what makes me think I'm right. See, this is where I get truth. I don't depend on human wisdom. So I didn't get this from a news commentator, didn't get this from social media. I didn't get this from the classroom, the boardroom, or some self-proclaimed expert. I got this straight from the heart of God that has given us this word of God not to hurt us, but to help us. That's it. So that's what I'm saying. So we have these programs and systems and judges and mediators and counselors and all trying to help a world that is dying from the wounds inflicted by a whole bunch of I wills. See, we don't have a behavior problem. We have a will problem. And I know that none of them are here today, but sometimes people can be a little stubborn. I know you guys aren't, but because you guys are just sweet, easy to get along with people, just living in the joy of the Lord, you know. But see, we're suffering from the fallout of an I will attitude. Jesus defeated the I will attitude in the Garden of Gethsemane when he said, "Not my will, but your will." So that's what God wants us to kind of stand by that. Matter of fact, let me throw this out there. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12 through 14 describes Lucifer's fall from heaven with 5 I wills. Give that some thought. 5 I wills. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do what I like, and this is what I want. Jesus defeated him with one, "Not my will, but your will be done." Okay, so what am I saying? So stumbling around in the dark is a horrible way to find your way. That's how you get hurt. So I'm just going to kind of stumble around until I find my way. Dude, you're going to get jacked up. One night I remember coming home from a late night shift, and it was dark at house, and everybody was asleep, and I didn't want to wake anybody up. So I didn't turn on the light. I'm going down the hallway. I can feel both sides. I know where I'm going. I know it's my house. And I'm walking through the dark. And I found the vacuum. And this was older style. And had a steel tube pointed this way. And of course, Loretta insisted I take my shoes off when I come in. So I sliced my big toe all the way up to my kidney. I fell to the floor and I was bleeding out quickly. And everybody was awake. Jesus said it this way, John chapter 12, verse 35. Those who walk in darkness can't see where they're going. Stumbling around in the dark is a terrible way to try to find your way. So let's get back in the boat. Back in Luke chapter 5 and verse 5, Simon Peter's answer. Master, we've toiled all night and we haven't caught anything. Nevertheless, at your word, we'll cast the nets out. See, the missing element, my friends, is divine revelation from God. His word. And again, I'm going to put the cookies on the bottom shelf. This is easy. So divine revelation isn't him dropping some thought in your head where you're walking along and go, oh, whoa, that doesn't happen like that very often. Sometimes maybe, right? But divine revelation is the investment that you make in the relationship. It's where you store up good on the inside and you have the heart that pays attention and listen. See, whenever I'm faced with a really challenging, life-changing situation in my life, I pour and pour and pour over the Word of God. Not because I'm spiritual, but because I'm flawed. I can think jacked up stuff in here. Anybody know what I'm talking about? My brain can go like way out there. Anybody ever have your brain take you places you don't want to go? Right? So because my thinking is fatally flawed, I really need to get God's thinking inside of my thinking to give me some direction in my life. So here's the deal. And what he does is he reminds you, he doesn't reveal it to you because you've stored up good. If there's no word going in, there's probably no power going out. And that makes it way harder. So here's the deal. Relationally, are your nets empty? Emotionally, you toiled and toiled and toiled and it's not getting better, your net's empty? Physically, just feel like you just can't do it anymore, your net's empty? And spiritually, it's just not getting anywhere, you're not getting better. Been struggling, toiling, not finding direction, nets are still coming back empty. See, sometimes it seems like God is silent. Anybody ever felt like God is just not talking to you? It's like, you know, that it's almost like God is your spouse, or they get in a fight and you never talk to each other for a long time, right? See, if God is silent, I have some help for you. See, and whenever we feel like God is silent, what people sometimes do is they play the stop me game. Anybody ever play the stop me game? That's right. Okay, God, if you don't want me to do this, stop me. Now, you laugh, but you've done it. If it's not God's will, he's going to stop me. It's a cliff, dude. It's a cliff. It's the thinking of, you know what, your kid has a fork and they're going for the light socket. If they don't want me to do this, they're going to stop me. It's like, yeah, that'll teach them, right? A pastor from long ago, J. Vernon McGee, some of you guys might be familiar with him. He's got a voice that sounds like fingernails on a chalkboard. Just hard to listen to. Smart guy. But he was talking to a buddy of his, and they're talking about divine providence and the will of God and timing. And so this friend told J. Vernon McGee, he said, listen, he said, if it's not my time, I can walk blindfolded out in the middle of that intersection on the busiest time of the day, and I will be just fine. And J. Vernon McGee replied to him, if you walk out into that intersection blindfolded at the busiest time of the day, I can assure you your time has come. You see, so if the heavens seem silent, there's three questions that I have for you today. Just let's finish this up. Three questions. Question number one, have you predetermined what you want to hear? And that's why you're not hearing what you want to hear. Because sometimes, well, God has to do it this way. Well, last time I checked, you really suck at being God. Have you predetermined what it is that you want to hear? Question number 2. Have you walked too far away from the place or the calling where you heard God clearly? See, at this stage of the game, Loretta and I, we have this interesting communication style. Is that she's finally realized that in order to talk to me, she has to first get my attention. Ladies, that's important. Yeah, first, because if you start talking and not paying attention, it just like, come on, I need a couple friends, help me out. No. And so she says, well, are you listening to me? And I say, huh? But the correct answer is no. So she learned, she starts the conversation with, hey, Dave. And I'll go, what? You see me engaging? Yeah. Getting a gear? Come on, you know. You guys know. Because it starts with, hey, Dave. And I go, yeah. And she'll start to tell me something. And I don't know why we still play this game, but we still play this game. She's even said, you're deaf, but we still play this game. She'll start to tell me something, and she'll say, well, I was going to be... And I find myself, as she's walking away, going, because the further she gets away, the less I hear. And you might not think that's a big deal, but I'm responsible for the stuff I can't hear. And it's hecka expensive, I'm telling you. But see, that's what I'm saying. The second question is so important. Have you gotten too far away from the place or the calling where you heard God clearly? And the third and final question, is there too much noise with the way that you're living where it drowns out the voice of God in your life? Okay? So here's your 3 solutions, just real quick, and this is where we're going to kind of wrap this up. If you predetermine what you want him to say, the solution is to trade in your I will for his will. Relinquish yourself to the fact that God is probably right and you very well could be wrong. The shame of it all, right? To the second question, have I walked too far away from the place of the calling where he spoke clearly? Go back to that place where you heard him speak clearly and stay there until you hear from him. And question number 3, is there too much noise in the way that you're living that is drowning out the voice of God? It's time to start letting go of the things that are shouting louder than he's whispering, because my friends, God is never silent. Never happens. See, life won't produce abundance apart from obedience. It just won't. So, been a lot of years ago, but I was given this really, really, really lucrative offer for a job. And instantly this offer was just like so ridiculous, I immediately said yes. I didn't pray about it, didn't think about it, didn't search God's word, did not even talk to Loretta about it. So you know I hadn't heard from God. Easy. Sure, just jump right in. Of course this was God. I mean, look at this. I was like, what a deal. Within 1 month, I'd wrecked a good friendship. My family was miserable. And I lost all my joy. I wish I could go back and redo that. Because that friendship was never the same. Have you toiled all night and caught nothing? Is there an area of your life where you've given it your all and it's not producing results? My friend, it's not that you're doing it wrong, you're doing it blindly. I'm not telling you, hey, you better straighten up. Because when you tell people you better straighten up that don't know how to straighten up, that doesn't help at all. like, well, you better do that right. I only know how to do it wrong. I don't know. So if you've toiled all night and you're doing it blindly, number one, be still. 2 things. Stop wiggling around and shut up. In Jesus' name. Number 2, drink deep. You'll find yourself, see sometimes when you're going through, stuff sinking in and you don't even know it's sinking in. When you find yourself in a situation where all of a sudden something will come out and you go, whoa, I didn't even know I knew that. Yeah, you did. You put it in there. You stored up good. Some of you know what it's like to be in a conversation and somebody's just going through some stuff and you're trying to help them out, and all of a sudden that good will start flowing out and you walk away going, dude, that was awesome. The truth is, we know that we're not that smart. Oh, sure, I got this sucker memorized. Not a problem. No. You put good in, good comes out. Drink deep. Number 3, listen closely. Talk to mentors, coaches, and examples. And listen closely for the Spirit of God to make gesture to your heart. And number 4, trust fully. There's a lot of places in my life when I didn't fully understand what was happening, but I knew that I'd heard from God. Oh, by the way, that's called faith. The irony of this story in Luke chapter 5, where Simon Peter says, we've toiled all night and caught nothing. The same scenario is repeated 3.5 years later in John chapter 21 and verse 3, where they went out fishing and they worked hard all night, and guess what? Caught nothing. Nothing. Here's my takeaway. Sometimes I'm a slow learner. Any slow learners in the house? Anybody have to learn the lesson more than one time? Come on, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anybody ever have something happen where you go, oh, yeah, that. Okay, yeah, I got it, right? I'm so glad for God's grace. It doesn't condemn us when we blow it. I'm so glad for God's grace. It says, you know what? You might not have got it right the first time, but I'm going to give you another shot. That's God's grace, my friends. That's where God says, you know what? You keep at this. You keep plugging away, and you're going to find out eventually you're going to get really, really good at being who I want you to be. Toiled all night and caught nothing. Not because he's a failure, but it's God's reminder. Sometimes you just need to be reminded of who he thinks you are. God's not here to condemn you, to put you down, to reject you. God's here to walk alongside of you when you stumble and pick you up, dust you off, and send you on your ways. Come on, let's give it another shot. Let's try this one more time. I think you can get it this time. That's what God's here to do. I'm glad for that grace. So today, if you've toiled hard and you feel like you're not getting anywhere and you need to hear from God, today's your day. Here's something you may not realize, but it is 100% true. Your ability to hear God speak is just as good as mine. Your ability to hear God speak is just as good as mine. Just have that listening ear. Store up some good. The reason I got good at this is because I was really bad at this. I'm so tired of jacking it up like all the time. I was so tired of opening my mouth before this did anything. I need a couple friends, just a couple friends. Okay? I was so bad at letting my attitude get in front of me. I was so bad at living life blindly, just throwing it out there. I needed some wisdom in my life. I needed to be able to see the unseen. As I filled up my heart with this, I would get in those situations and that word would just come to the surface. Before I stepped out, the Spirit would check me and I go, oh yeah, throw them on the other side. Could I get you to bow your heads and close your eyes for just a moment, please? So glad you decided to spend the Memorial Day weekend with us on this really cold, wet, nasty day. Hallelujah. A couple of questions today. Anybody feel like you've been toiling hard and getting nowhere? And on the inside, there's a tiredness going on the inside that is not a physical tired, it's a heart tired. It's a soul tired. Anybody there today? Just show me your hand, just real quick and up right back down. Thank you guys, thank you, thank you, thank you. You say, you know what? I've been trying super hard. I've been putting my best in. I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. If you haven't raised your hand yet, do that right now, up and right back down. Up and right back down. Thank you guys, thank you, thank you. Second, last question. Anybody really need to hear from God? I'm facing a situation. I really don't know what to do and don't know how to respond. I'm struggling to find the answers. I'm afraid of really messing this up. I really need to hear from God. Show me your hand. Say, that's me. That's where I'm at. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Could y'all stand today, please? Boy, is this your lucky day or what? It just stopped raining. The church is almost over. What do you know? You know, I've always said the second service people are the smartest month. Yeah, nobody believes that either. See, sometimes we make it way harder than it needs to be. You know anybody that just makes things like super complicated? See, if you have a 5-minute problem and you give me a 45-minute explanation, you're jacked up. Simple. This is the easiest fishing method there is. Well, other than the gummy worm. Somebody offered night crawlers in the first service. But I thought, no, you guys you're kind of sissified. You're not going to do the night crawlers. Simple. You, my friend, can hear God speak to your life. You can. Say, well, I'm not a church person. Can't say that now. This is my first time here. We don't care. This is new life. We are a church for anyone. That's who we are. All right, so put yourself in a place where you can hear God speak clearly. Get that divine direction, and you won't have to worry about living life blindly.